This is going to be a very different video from what I normally make. I was planning to finish and record my script for Acella's new game, Smurfs Dreams. But then I started getting clips from a new film into my recommendations. They were pretty funny, but I still had no context for what I was watching. After some research and a last-minute booking, I went to the movies to mix up an otherwise boring Saturday. With what I saw and knowing it was made by DreamWorks, I walked in expecting it to be great. But then, I came out of the theater having witnessed genuine art. And that brings me here. Hey folks, I'm Houbs, and today I would like to tell you why I think this is one of the most important movies ever made. The movie in question is none other than The Wild Robot. If any of you are worried about spoilers, I will only go into the story just enough to give you a quick rundown. After that, I'll do my best to be as vague as possible when addressing the story. But yes, this movie is something you must experience yourself. Well, let's not delay any further. An android unit ROSM 7134, later named Roz, is washed up onto the shore of a wild island. She wanders around it in search for a user, being understandably feared by the animals. After an unfortunate accident that leaves a goose nest completely wrecked, Roz decides to take care of the last remaining egg as her obligation. When the egg hatches, Roz and her unlikely friend Fink, who's a snarky fox, take it upon themselves to raise the chick, who later gets named Brightbill, and prepare for the upcoming winter migration. The whole movie, Roz and Brightbill search for a place where they belong and discover their true selves and what they mean to each other. It's such a simple premise, but the way DreamWorks tells the story is something that has to be seen to be believed. It really stands to show that you don't need overly complex lore or insane world-threatening events to tell a story so engaging, so intricate, so personal. Because what all of it boils down to is just a story of a mother trying to raise her child and give them the happy life they deserve. Instead, it's all the little details that give this movie its outstanding quality. The way every character we meet has something profound to say, how Fink's perspective on life changes completely with his growing attachment to Roz and Brightbill, the subtle loving gestures shown in every interaction between our characters. This movie is textbook show, don't tell. Every move, every word said has so much intent and weight behind it. There are so many scenes where very little is said, but there's so much emotion that is shown from everyone, especially Roz, who, may I remind you, is a robot with no face at all. More on that bit. I don't know what it is, but there's just something so special to me about stories of robots becoming more alive. There's so much emotion behind static mechanical parts coming to life with such personality. It's this development of free will, of emotion and care that is so cliché in stories involving living beings, but so powerful in tales like these. And there are many great stories out there that take this concept and give us something so emotional, so profound in its message, not you! And I don't know. Something about seeing a robot become this caring person just makes me feel so warm, so happy. It's like rediscovering these emotions and connections we've gotten so used to all over again. I feel like The Wild Robot's biggest success is in how it perfects that development. We get such a personal bond between Roz and Brightbill. The whole story, there's this debate between what you think you're meant to do and what you truly want to do, what you feel will matter most to what's essentially your family. Those parts about developing emotions and empathy similar stories are known for are secondary here to the true centerpiece of becoming a mother. The struggles that come with it, the lengths you're ready to go to just to see your kid safe and happy. And it just oozes from every action shown on screen, especially as Roz slowly loses her original factory programming. Her movements get more lively, her voice softly trembling, how she becomes so gentle with Brightbill. It's a masterclass of writing a protagonist, and the supporting cast only makes it better. I felt such a deep relation to Brightbill when I watched this film. There's so much about his struggle against the odds that resonates with what I myself am going through. The constant race against the clock with the change of seasons is something I'm experiencing myself as I'm clawing my way through the world, trying to find a place where I can finally feel safe. And he has every right to be frustrated. I understand that desire to fit into the place where you feel you're meant to be so well. And every time he has to face the reality of his situation, it's like the movie's putting up a mirror in front of me, forcing me to reflect on my own struggles. That's what makes his growth so powerful to me. It shows me there's gonna be my unique way I make it through life. And along that journey, there's always going to be someone who always wants for you to succeed, who's always happy to see you. But there needs to be someone to remind you of that, and I feel that's what Fink does so perfectly. Above all else, he's just an amazing character. He's a joy to see on screen, and despite him seeing himself as just a sidekick that's only there for as long as he needs to be, he ends up playing the most important supporting role. Every joke he makes lands, every time he hesitates but still does what he feels is right. It's like a full character arc happening in his head. And it's just hard for me to ever not like him. He's not dealt the best hand. That gets pretty obvious very early on. But it doesn't stop him from wanting to show the compassion he was never granted. Constantly defying what everyone, including himself, believed he truly was. The rest of the supporting characters were also great. That's in huge part thanks to the incredible voice work done by the cast. They really nailed it in this film. And I know I'm kind of slipping further into talking about the more technical aspects here, so let's shift our attention to that. Part of me feels really lucky to live in a world where Spider-Verse had the impact it did on the animation industry. DreamWorks adapted a similar blend of 3D and 2D into their newer films, like Puss in Boots and The Bad Guys. But here, it feels like they took it to another level entirely. The island is incredibly diverse and detailed in its visuals. The way the modeled landscapes shift into the hand-painted backdrops makes every frame look like a finished painting that has so much depth to it. There's also something so beautiful about the way it, sometimes not so subtly, depicts the effects of climate change. The landscape is so uniquely shaped by the rise in water levels, and the beautifully depicted weather has such ferocity to it. It's still Earth, it's our home, but it looks otherworldly here. But even in this more harsh environment, life still goes on, so that's a bit of a hopeful message in there. And what truly sells it is how the characters interact with these environments. It really does feel like there was life before the story, and Ross just stumbled into a bustling ecosystem. The animations of the animals in particular were such a big highlight for me. Even where you expect them to cut corners, they just commit what feels like 300% of their effort to make each moment more lively, more real. And that thing I said about every joke from Fink landing, swim! That extends to every joke in this entire film. It's got the perfect balance of humor and emotional moments that keep you on this roller coaster until the very end. As the movie kept going, I was already getting teary. But then the movie would give us another joke, another moment of beauty and hope. This balance the story maintained can only be matched by the nature it so meticulously portrays. And it had this effect on me that I never expected. When the final scene played out, everything that happened over the course of the film came crashing down on me all at once. It's like the movie built up a dam of emotions and then smashed it in one powerful swing. And you know what? I cried. Not even a little bit. I started shaking and completely lost control over my emotions. My soul resonated with this movie so much that the story and the reality came together, and I just needed to let it out, to let my heart sing the greatest compliment to any film I've ever watched. And that's the beauty of The Wild Robot. This whole film, from start to finish, feels real. Yeah, eat your heart out, Disney. You and your god-awful live-action remakes of your classics. This painted world, these cutesy animals, this is how you make something that's truly alive. I've spent the past however long showering this movie in praises, and I still feel like it's not enough. There's not enough lexicon in the human language to put into words just how much I love this film. There's not even one problem or weakness that I could point out. It provoked a level of emotion in me that no other film could in my entire life. If anything, this shows that the treatment animation gets as just a genre is so deeply misleading. Only animation can evoke the kind of wonder in me that it does. It's an art form, and the people who work with it are some of the greatest creators in history. And The Wild Robot stands as a masterpiece and DreamWorks' true magnum opus. At least, it does in my eyes. Sorry, Shrek 2. Hit it! Now, should you watch it? If you somehow weren't listening to what I've been saying this whole time, yeah, you definitely should. And don't wait for it to appear on streaming platforms or whatever. Seriously, get a ticket and go to a movie theater. It'll be worth it. I know for a fact that it was worth it for me. And if you want to take anything away from this video, The Wild Robot is easily, and I mean easily, now my absolute all-time favorite. More importantly though, this film provoked me to do what we all so often forget to these days. Go ahead and tell your loved ones how much they mean to you. It may not be your parents, and that's okay. Everyone's situation is different. But there's definitely someone in your life who will go to great lengths to make sure you're happy. So please, tell them what needs to be said. Because if there's any one sentence from The Wild Robot that I took to heart, it's this. I love you, Mom.